This is U.S. Storm Center with your complete weather update for the start of March 2026. A significant and potentially dangerous weather pattern is developing across a large portion of the United States, and the primary concern over the coming week and beyond is an escalating flooding threat stretching from the south-central states all the way through the Ohio Valley. A shifting jet stream is setting the stage for multiple rounds of severe weather. A pronounced southward dip in the jet stream over the western United States is paired with a northward bulge building across the east. This configuration creates a corridor that will steer successive storm systems northeastward from Texas and the southern plains, drawing warm, moist air up from the Gulf of Mexico and colliding it repeatedly with colder air pressing in behind each system. For the next 6 to 10 days, precipitation levels are expected to run well above average across an expansive region. Forecasts indicate that this above-average pattern will not be short-lived. It is expected to persist well beyond that window, sustaining repeated rounds of heavy rainfall across areas that, in some cases, have been dealing with drought conditions. While the first 1 or 2 rounds of rain may be absorbed into parched ground, the cumulative effect will quickly overwhelm drainage systems and push rivers toward flood stage. The Weather Prediction Center has flagged a high-risk flooding zone covering northeastern Texas, northern Louisiana, Arkansas, northern Mississippi, southeastern Missouri, western Tennessee, western Kentucky, central Indiana, much of Illinois, and extending into Ohio. Within this broad area, a moderate risk corridor sits at the center, and a high-risk zone highlights the most vulnerable communities. Farmers and agricultural operations throughout this region should take particular note and begin preparing now. This flooding outlook represents one of the most significant rainfall threats the south-central United States and Ohio Valley have seen in recent months. The European ensemble models are in agreement with this pattern, showing that high pressure will continue to swing large amounts of moisture into the region well past the 7-day forecast window. The amount of rain already projected for the next 7 days alone is substantial, and additional accumulations are forecast on top of that. On the winter weather side of the forecast, a mix of freezing rain and light snow is expected to affect parts of the Northeast over the next couple of days. Areas from northern Virginia and Maryland northward through Pennsylvania face a chance of minor icing impacts, with the transition from rain to freezing rain and back again creating hazardous travel conditions. Across New England, 2 to 3 inches of snowfall are possible, with higher elevations in the Rockies, including parts of Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah, seeing heavier snow accumulations as a separate system moves through. It is important to note that forecasts pointing to major snowstorms for the eastern United States are not supported by the data. The National Weather Service and major modeling guidance show no significant snow events for the densely populated East Coast corridor at this time. The dominant theme of this weather pattern is warmth and moisture, not Arctic cold and snow. Turning to severe weather, multiple days of elevated risk are taking shape across the central and southern United States. On Wednesday, a slight risk of severe thunderstorms is in place from Oklahoma and western Arkansas through eastern Kansas and into the Ohio Valley. The primary hazards on Wednesday will be large hail and damaging wind gusts, with the Storm Prediction Center flagging this corridor for organized storm activity. Colorado State University's forecast models suggest the marginal risk area could extend even further toward the Ohio Valley than current National Weather Service outlooks indicate. By Thursday, the threat is not expected to disappear entirely, and heading into Friday, a new surface low-pressure system developing across the Central Plains will push the severe weather risk northward. The Friday threat area stretches from Texas all the way up through Missouri and into portions of the surrounding states. Large hail and damaging winds remain the primary concerns on Friday, but this setup also carries the potential for tornadoes. The combination of Gulf moisture, jet stream dynamics, and a strong low-pressure system makes this a setup that really deserves close monitoring. Looking further ahead, meteorologists note that the overall pattern could sustain additional rounds of severe weather into the weekend, with storms potentially continuing to develop from southern Wisconsin down through Texas on Friday evening and strengthening overnight into Saturday. This is an evolving situation, and forecast details at the 5-day range and beyond are subject to change. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Storm Prediction Center has recently added a new tool to its convective outlooks called Conditional Intensity, which began official use in March 2026. This enhancement allows forecasters to differentiate between severe weather days when especially violent or extreme storms are expected, giving emergency managers and the public greater advance notice of potentially catastrophic events. This development marks an important improvement in how severe weather warnings are communicated to the public. On the broader seasonal outlook, AccuWeather's 2026 severe weather forecast identifies an increased risk of severe weather episodes across the eastern plains, the mid-Mississippi River Valley, and the western Ohio Valley through March and April. In March specifically, tornado activity is expected to focus on a corridor from northern Georgia through Oklahoma and northward through most of Illinois, with risks increasing further into April as severe weather season develops in earnest. Forecasters note that while the total number of tornadoes in 2026 may trend slightly below the 2025 figure, flash flooding and damaging wind gusts could impact a significantly larger geographic area. For the time being, river levels across the Ohio, Missouri, and mainstem Mississippi river systems are expected to rise in the coming weeks as the heaviest rainfall in months moves through the Mississippi basin, combined with snowmelt from parts of the plains and Midwest. Communities along these waterways and their tributaries should stay in close contact with local emergency management offices and monitor National Weather Service river forecast products carefully. The overriding message heading into this first week of March is clear. The flooding threat developing across the south-central United States and Ohio Valley is serious, widespread, and intensifying. Residents in the affected areas should review their flood preparedness plans, safeguard important documents and property, and heed any evacuation orders issued by local authorities without delay. This is a weather pattern that demands attention, and conditions can change rapidly once heavy rain begins to fall on already saturated ground. U.S. Storm Center will continue to track this developing situation and bring